Hey guys, welcome back to my video journal. Today will be the first part in sharing my testimony. What I've decided I'm actually going to do is, since I have my book that I talked about in the last video, I'm going to take poems from my books and I'm going to read them to you and explain a little piece about them, so that way you'll get a good idea of, first of all, what they mean, but second of all, how they directly relate back to me, the author. So today I'm going to start with a poem that is an overview of my testimony, and then we'll work into other poems. And if you have questions, feel free to comment. I'll get back to you as soon as I can with an answer. We can meet for coffee or something. Just let me know. Whatever works. It's all cool. So just get back to me. So I'm going to read this poem and then talk a little bit about what it means. Okay? All right. It's titled Dark to Light, When God's in Sight, by my pen name Jim Hawkins. I come before you now with a story to share. You could call it fate, luck, or even a testimony, but I don't really care. No matter what you call it, it's amazing. It's a story of Christ and His glory, an answer to desperate prayer. It's the path of my life, condensed into this, a thing once before hidden and missed. It tells how I struggled to grow up my soul, and only now under God found a sense of control. So here's my life and the horrors within. Hold on to your seats, 'cause your head's gonna spin. I was born to a mother who had me alone. She smoked and she drank while she turned Satan's every stone. She had a few other children before giving me my physical soul. She tried to act the part, but in the end lost control. They took me away and they put me to sale. Thank God for adoption, or the story would be quite an empty tale. I lived in a church with my dear mom and my dad. They loved me and taught me, but still I went bad. I lost my grandfather, and then lost my dog. My world took a trip down like an old soggy log. I turned to hatred, atheism, and sins. This is truly where the story begins. After a fight with my parents, I decided to leave. At the age of 14, I lost everything. I was going to run and never return, but just like Simba, I had to get whacked in order to turn. I got halfway away, but then just got caught. And then temptation drew my one unlucky slot. And just like in Vegas, the slots brought distraction. In winning I lost, and that brought correction. In a world of the dark, filled with alcohol, sex, and drugs, I learned the wickedness of the secular bugs. They crawled and they pinched, in every spot on my skin. The memory still strikes me, so very deep with my sin. I turned into a thug, and acted all wrong. I lost my pride, and my lust grew bigger and strong. Oh, why did I have to stumble so long? But finally I came to a place close to death. I had only one wish, and that was to die. I began to study, and then to try. But every time God stopped me and rerouted my way. I finally gave up and changed the very next day. I cried and I pleaded for help from Christ. I hung up my ways and became anew in the blink of an eye. I realized that day that I wasn't alone, and began to leave the sin I had for so long been on my own. I turned away, and since then I've taken the Spirit's knowledge and grown. Now I still struggle, but the ocean's all but empty. I can all but fly in the path of my God. I am guilty still of the sins of my past, but Christ doesn't hold them, as in forgiveness my memory doesn't last, and neither does His. Christ is everywhere, even in private company. You may be lost, but He'll bring you to glory. Just look in this and remember my story. It's rough, yes, but it's a poem. Nobody's perfect, you know. They say they are, but I'm sure even Edgar Allan Poe had some issues with his writing. Okay, nobody's perfect. Basically, you can get a drift, you can get an idea of my story from this. I'm not going to go totally in detail because that would destroy the point of a journal, because, you know, a little bit every day. But basically, my story is a dark one. Throughout the course of my life, I've been a pastor's son in a sense, because my dad, you know, he wasn't an official pastor, but he led Boy Scouts and the preschool at my church. He was involved everywhere in my life. You know, I had to be a godly young man. And of course, familiarity breeds contempt. So I grew too comfortable. I grew too used to the stories to a point where it actually became just a book to me. It was just a book with a bunch of cool stories about people who were lucky and got successful. That's pretty much all it became to me. I didn't care, I didn't believe in it, I just didn't want anything to do with it because it kept challenging the fact that I wanted to do something that it wouldn't let me do. And in that path, I made a bunch of friends, I made a bunch of wrong choices, and got to see a little bit of what is out there. And a good example was actually more recent. I went to a thing called Boys State. And at Boys State, we run our government for a week. We set up kids, it's all us, just just juniors, go out for a week to Sacramento State University and we run our own government. And I was on the newspaper. So I got to see a little bit of everything. People came to me with stories about people doing drugs, people having sex, people running around with college girls' underwear, things like that. A lot of people got in trouble. Some people even got kicked off the campus. But what I will tell you is that a lot of people, well, the majority, I think only 4 people got kicked off campus, so it wasn't, a big deal. These 4 people were the troublemakers. But everybody else, I think it was 994, Manuel can correct me if he wants, if he sees this video, but 994 people were there, and 990 of them were there the whole week, and we set up a government, and we did all this, and almost everybody was successful in some way. And it was pretty close to the world because there was a lot of sexual things going on, sexual joking, sexual videos, sexual photographs, stuff like that. There was a lot of homosexual people, which we'll get to in another video, my views on homosexuality and people who struggle with lust and things like that. There's some really interesting scripture that I'm going to try and bring up on that, but there's some cool stuff. As well as a lot of violence and quibbling amongst the city members and even some county issues. But I got to see what the world was like. That's just one example, but there was a lot of different things that brought together a real perspective for me of how there's a lot of sin in the world and there's a lot of things wrong with the world. But the thing that I learned ultimately, once I finally came to Christ, was that you may be surrounded in darkness, but if you have God, you are truly His little light. You know that, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, the whole song there. You really are, if you're a Christian, you are a light in a lot of ways. Like a lot of you guys might be watching this right now, he's a Christian, and not necessarily in the sense of he does all this crap, so how can he be a Christian, but in the sense of, wow, that explains a lot, or he's a Christian? That's cool, there's a lot of different perspectives. I hope it isn't, wow, he's a Christian after all doing all that, because I really try not to give off a testimony about like that, but for those of you who aren't haters, a lot of people tell me that I'm a cool guy or I'm fun to hang out with, and I'm a Christian. A lot of people see Christians as these people who quote scripture and put you down and say you can't do this and go into hell because we're too screwed up to tell you why, And so it's really cool if you're one of those people seeing that and going, he's a Christian, that makes sense. Because I try and really be a man of God, and I've really come to that point where I realize that I am a light. And, I can help you guys with anything you need. I mean, I may not be qualified in everything, but I definitely promise you I have some life experience that could help you with all kinds of stuff. I'm actually mentoring one of my friends right now, and he's doing a whole lot better than he was doing when we first started. It's just amazing how through fellowship we've been able to grow so much. So I know I'm kind of going in a roundabout way, but basically that poem is just an overview of my testimony, and that Boys State is just an example of how a lot of people in this world can be successful, but only can they be truly successful with Christ, because a lot of people came up to me at Boys State and said, wow, you're a Christian? That's amazing, because you're amazing, you just do a great job, and we're so happy to work with you and stuff. And it really makes a difference just to see how far you can go with Christ. So if you're not a Christian, I'm not trying to push it on you, but I am telling you that as a true Christian, not a hypocritical Christian, but a true Christian, it is amazing the things that can change and the wonderful things that can happen. So that'll be the end of this video. But if you have any questions, feel free to leave comments. Once again, please feel free to ask me anything at all, anything. I'll be more than happy to answer them. I'll be more than happy to help you out if you want to send me a message on Facebook. Once again, my picture on Facebook is Javert from the new Les Miserables, Russell Crowe. You can add me on Facebook, send me a message, ask me anything. Even if it's personal, I'll be more than happy to help you in any way I can. Or just, if you want to hang out and be friends and have coffee or lunch sometime, just, send me a message. I would love to meet you, love to hang out with you guys. So that's it for today. I hope I said something productive, but it is a video journal, so I am entitled to mess up a little bit, okay? So anyway, God bless, and I'll see you guys on the next video.